Okay, okay.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. So we are just waiting for a couple of minutes so that
Sure,
others can also join. Yeah.
sure, sure.
And we would be live streaming this on YouTube
Okay,
simultaneously.
no
Yes, sir.
problem.
Yes, sir. So those who are not able to join through Zoom can watch it on YouTube with the link provided also on the Telegram group as well as through the mail.
Shubham is showing.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, respected Professor Dwaipan Bharadwaj, other distinguished guests, my dear colleagues and participants, not only from all over India, but we have participants from other countries also, like Philippines and Sri Lanka. Welcome to you all. I, Dr. Uma Dhawan, convener Research and Project Assessment Committee of Bhaskaracharya College of Applied Sciences, University of Delhi, welcome you all to the second session of the international webinar series on research integrity and ethics. This outreach program is an initiative to raise awareness and enhance the understanding of the basic practices and principles of integrity and ethics in research among students and faculty members. This is a critical issue and a collective responsibility of all the stakeholders, and there is no single group that can fix failures in research integrity and ethics. In this webinar series, to reiterate, there will be 8 to 10 sessions in all over a span of 5 to 6 months with 1 to 2 sessions per month. This is the second session, as I already mentioned. I would like to say that the principal, sir, Professor Balaram Pani, is unable to join because of some other commitment. So I would like to introduce our distinguished speaker now. Uh, I'm delighted to introduce Professor Dwaipan Bharadwaj, whom I have known for almost 2 decades now. Welcome you, sir. Professor Bharadwaj was the senior scientist at CSIR IGIB, New Delhi, before joining as professor at School of Biotechnology, Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. His research focus is on complex disease genomics. He has published articles, research articles in many reputed international and Indian journals. He was in the editorial board of Diabetes, the flagship journal of American Diabetes Association. For the last 2 years, Sir is pursuing scientific misdeeds or misconducts by Indian researchers. Sir, with these words, I would like to welcome you and over to you now. So, sir, please, if you can share your screen.
Okay, thank you, Uma, for your nice introduction. Let me first start sharing the screen, then it may take a little bit. All of you can hear me?
Yes, sir, loud and clear.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Let's see. All of you can see the slides?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
See that before going to these topics, I think this is very apt topic of the time. See that what is research integrity? What is integrity? What is the culture? What is the ethics? What is the morality? Before going to all of those things, I just need to tell some of those. I just want to touch. See that if you see clearly the values, that everything comes from the values. Values build the society. And from where these values, this morality starts, it starts from home. You know that newborn kid and then 1 year, 2-year-old toddler, and then slowly growing up, then we just started to know that don't do that, don't do this, or you can do this, and this value system grows. So what I'm talking now, I'm going to talk about this thing. This is the research integrity actually in our country and most of the countries. The research means it starts as a PhD students and the postdoctoral students. So say in the university, I can say before that I was in a national laboratory. So I'm in a central university. So both sides I know that what is going on. I'm insiders. So when students are coming to do research in the PhD level, they are already adult, 23 years old at least. So at that time, they have their own values, they have their own integrity, and you will have to understand that 22, 23, this 18 years to 25 years, 26 years, this is the real peak time, physically, mentally peak time of your youth. And most of the time, this is the time people are liberal and people are mentally strong. So my point is like that then you cannot give excuse that my boss pushes me to do that. So this is that everything build up at that time we started, and it starts from the home. So what I will show you technically, what you will do, what you cannot do, what path you can cross, you cannot cross, these things. So what last 2 years I am doing this, and I will give you case by case example. My first slides, why it is not changing? Before going to all of those slides, I want to be very clear. This is the rider. All data shown here actually found and acquired from publicly available websites. All the pictures shown here for your evaluation and your own judgment. So it's a rider because I didn't make up anything. I got everything from the public database. On that database, I did research. I went to the initial journal. I went extensively use PubPeer.com. I will show that. And I did my own statistics. And entire of those things on the biomedical sciences, depending upon that, I'm going to show you. So everything available. And most of the cases, I give you the link also. So first things that if you see that in my talk, we are talking about those digital era, that advantages, the causes, consequences, and also remedies. According to me, I will give the remedies. So if I see that digital era, it can do magic. So that if I see my time of doing research is not that far away. See that I joined to do PhD in November 1986. It's not like that. I do not think I'm in a dinosaurian era. But at that time, this we are doing gel, taking gel picture by the original those Kodak film, that film negative, positive, and then after that getting the positive, we used to use lots of stenciling, lots of that what I forget that you label those A, B, C, D, everything, labeling and everything, and that thing is done. And then we are sending in our thesis or in the publications, wherever else we are doing that. So one thing is like that. Those are very, what I will say, that stringent things. I cannot modify, I cannot wriggle through that. Once I get the photo, and the photo I already stencil labeling all of those things, and that is, I cannot change it, I cannot stretch it, I cannot do anything. So here in the digital era, which I am seeing, it we can do wonder, because no longer there are people who didn't even see the negatives. The Kodak company is almost bankrupt. So you can do magic. Now with the photo, you can change contrast, you can change brightness of your gel pictures just to get in real meaning out of that. In real sense, if something is not very prominent, you can just light the background so that you can see that. It helps you a lot. It helps you a lot. So you can store this correctly. You can store many pictures in your files. You need not to go to library frequently. In our time, there are current contents. You used to go to library and see the current contents, reading, taking pencil, and then taking the reference, going to library again and find out those journals and to read them. And here everything, you need not to go even to the library. Forget, you need not to go to your laboratory. If you have access to a computer, which most of the research students have, and you have internet, and that's it. Actually, the problem is like that. You'll have to think what are the fake and what are the right. So you need not to go to library frequently. Information searching is lightning fast. That artificial intelligence is now doing havoc. You can compare quickly, and you can know the source of the research materials. You know what are the laboratory. From there you can ask for some antibodies or some plasmids, so etc. So this is actually a boon to our life, boon to a serious researcher's life. Never neglect this. In this digital era, we can do wonder if we desire to do so in a positive way. So these are the advantage. So now if I see our next point, somehow it's changing, is very slow. It's very slow. I'm not understanding this.
No, sir, that's okay. Sometimes it's a bandwidth problem, and if it is very slow, you can switch off your video like while you are sharing. Then that might help.
Oh, that might help. Okay.
Yes, sir.
That's change.
Oh,
so now we are talking about the problems. Problems are plenty. My next stop, and I will show the case by case. I will give you some example. I will tell you this story, and which I unearthed from all the public databases. From where it started? It started from a website, a voluntary organization called PubPeer. It's an online journal club. Some fanatics, obviously United States in America, they started it. It launched in 2012. And up to 2017-18, nobody, that means general scientific public, this general public is very technically equipped. This is not general at first say the population. This scientific public, that young researchers, middle-aged researchers, older researchers, we came to know this around 2017-18. It is entirely not true, because PubPeer, some of our researchers started to know it from now 2012 also, but they were silent. I'm telling that reason also. This PubPeer, these volunteers, and many of those people are taking off from their regular research laboratories and do this volunteer job. Like me, I'm doing on my own, because I do not sit in many of the committees because I'm Achut. So I have enough time and I'll have to do something. And then I saw this is the nice way just to clean up the mess. If not to clean up the mess, just to give the voice to the people who are silent, to help the young people what to do, what is the best for their careers. Ultimately, young researchers will suffer most. So this PubPeer organization, if you go to the Wikipedia, it will immediately tell is a website that allows users to discuss and review scientific research. The site is one of the many allowing academics to engage in post-publication peer review. That means already publications is there and they are doing that with a digital tool. They are evaluating. It has served as a whistleblowing platform in that it highlighted shortcomings in several high-profile papers, in some cases leading to retractions and to accusations of scientific fraud, as noted by Retraction Watch. This is another website. Contrary to most platforms, it allows anonymous post-publication commenting, a controversial feature, which is the main factor for its success. Because the moment you want to give a comment, that comment must be with evidence. You will get a scientific name of viable organism, microorganisms, birds name, plants name. One viable organism's Latin name will be your anonymous name. But if you want, if you have guts, you can write down in your own name. And consequently, accusations of libel have been leveled at some of PubPeer's users. Correspondingly, PubPeer comments are required to use only facts that can be publicly verified. So this is my source. And now let me mute my video because I'm seeing that how to mute the video. Stop video doesn't mean my screen will be off. This is the problem. So some generalized data coming out the PubPeer website. As I said, this is volunteer based. There are, before going to my evidences, my case studies, you will have to know who are not unaware of that PubPeer that much, that volunteer based. There are volunteers like Elizabeth Bick. She's the most prominent name, took time off from their own laboratory to do this job. Recently commented publications. Just today, there are 1,01,160 commented publications. Today is the 28th November. There are logarithmic scale more papers that are older. There are predominantly 90% of those papers are from biological sciences, biomedical sciences, because papers, those are using some kind of images, because image manipulation, figuring out the image manipulation in the published paper, it started. Recently, lots of volunteers from other fields of science and technology are joining. So beware the theoretical physicists, physics, chemistry, because those volunteers are also joining and that kind of papers are also coming, because digital era will not show pardon to anyone. And their astronomy and even theoretical papers are also started appearing in PubPeer. So if you are interested, go read them, because they are comments. So you will understand what kind of comments you expect when you go to publish. It is an enormous learning tool. Obviously, most papers who are already these controversial papers are from United States of America, because they have that if I take 100% global funding, they have the 80% funding, they have the majority of the researchers, so obviously. But when compared these potential fabricated papers to total number of papers from that country, then the standing changes drastically. Top 3 countries where density of these fraudulent papers are maximum are China, India, and Iran. Next, pertinent to mention here that Retraction Watch opened countrywide specific website for these 3 countries. That is then another Retraction Watch. Whenever something retracted papers, that website is immediately upload that retraction news. And then they started some country specific, and immediately they started China specific, India specific, and Iran specific, because retraction is much more. And rarely, this is important, rarely the top researchers from USA or other Western countries are here in PubPeer. If you go, rarely you see Nobel laureates or very top researchers are with the controversial papers. But in India, it is totally opposite. In India, most of the top or so-called top researchers are having papers in PubPeer. And please do check typing the name with the correct spelling in the PubPeer website, and you will find it. Don't trust that what I'm saying. Challenge me. Go and see that. So this is the thing. Top researchers are here are having this. In USA, more than 50% of those PubPeer researchers again are from China, India, Philippines, Pakistan, Bangladesh. They are the immigrants there. And Japan, that is least affected. That means this country has high integrity. In India, most of these researchers were not even bothered up to 2017 to 18 to respond to the first query of PubPeer. But last 2 years, there are rapid responses. So that's I said 2012 it launched. And the thing is like that, the moment the volunteer is reading a paper and finding some problem in that paper and upload that in the PubPeer website, immediately artificial intelligence send that email to the corresponding author and also the other authors whose emails are available, that there is a paper from your group uploaded in this website, please check and respond to the queries. The rule is like that, they will wait for this response and they will remind you, and then 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 1 year, then ultimately they will send these queries in the letter form to the particular journal, and that journal then again contact to those original authors, and those authors will have to respond them. And if at that time journal is not happy with those response, editor of that journal will retract the paper, or in many cases if it is trivial, then that there will be an erratum, but there is no escape. So up to 2017 or 18, nobody bothers from India. That's why you didn't know. But before, from 2012 to 2017, many of those Indian researchers got those messages, but they thought it's a sham or nothing will happen. And then that many people started to doing that. Up to this point, I posted more than 112 postings of Indian researchers in my social platform, and with tagging more than hundreds people nationally and internationally. So there is no escape. So now we know this point, something about those PubPeer. So then story ruk jata hai.
Sir, you can stop your video by just clicking on the icon which says start video.
Stop video.
Yeah, stop video, just click on that.
I click on that.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Now I think so it would improve the bandwidth.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah.
Okay. So some statistics. So if you see that this country of origin of publications, plagiarism, duplicate publication, fraud or suspected fraud, you will see in the suspected fraud, obviously everywhere you will see USA more because numbers are huge, humongous. So this is India. So if I say that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, always within this 7. If it is a plagiarism, you see is a bigger, larger pizza slice. And even duplicate publication are also very large, you see. And if I see the countries with the highest retraction rates, that per 10,000 papers, this will increase because retraction takes time. And now the first volley after volley retraction of what I started my crusade in 2018 sometime, it started. So it will increase. But at that time also, because it is actually 2 years back, if you see that India 7.5 per 10,000 papers are retracted. Okay. So another thing is like that, since I already told most of the top researchers in this country, these or every talk of mine are regarding this biomedical research in India, not in the other science, physics or chemistry, but obviously it's almost like a metastasis. So we cannot think that is pure and those are angels. So my talk is restricted to the biomedical and biological field. So these retractions is started, and if we find this is 7.5 per 10,000 papers published, and it will increase. So let's understand another thing before going to the case by case, and you will see that because of certain reason, I will show you some of those cases, and most of the cases I will show you of the top researchers of my country, because there are thousands and thousands of small cases and small universities, small institutions, and that if I want to give, I can give a 24-hour talk, but I will show the cases only from those big laboratories, big people, from those things. So understand the young people who are listening to me who didn't publish a paper or who are going to publish a paper, this is the process of publication. When we are going to a scientific publication, a little bit tweak here or there may be different, but you see, first mentor will discuss with the student. This is the thing I follow in my laboratory more or less. In that way, I am telling this. And then I will talk with my students. And in India, another thing is like that. In Western countries, in USA and other Western countries, this fundamental research is mainly done by postdoctoral researchers. But in India, it's fundamental research mainly done by the PhD student, the graduate student. Okay, so when a student graduated from my lab with a PhD, that person, he or she will immediately go to USA or Europe because their salaries are high and they will have to start their life. So here, main research, 90% of our research in the laboratory done by the very young researchers. These are PhD students, and 6 months gone to train them, and then they started doing fairly good. And when they are totally mature, they fly to the other side of the Atlantic. So first, discussion with the student, seeing the raw data, this mentor will have to see, if not every day, every week. And then first draft in my laboratory written always by the student. If it is a wrong route student, new student also like that, because everything is a training. A project writing is a training within this PhD curriculum. And the correction by mentor. And then you write another second draft, again correction by mentor, all the time with those all pictures, all graphs, all data, raw data, check, overcheck, then third draft. And ultimately when satisfied, then mentor say the modification according to the requirement of the specific journal, because then we'll have to decide about the journal. Many journal has many requirements. If it is a too big journal, then they give a very little space. Spaces are always very costly. And now these days, many journals charge a huge amount of money. PLOS One or scientific reports charge almost 1.5 to 2 lakh rupees one publication. JBC also charge 50 to 60,000 rupees per publications. So those are huge money also involved. And then you submit that manuscript to the journal. Then that peer review from at least 2 to 3 reviewers, it goes. And it takes 4 to 8 weeks, sometimes even 6 months. And then revision, if they don't reject it immediately, there will be revision of the manuscript performed in silico analysis or in vitro experimentation according to the point by point that reviewers query. And then you will write a rebuttal letter, and then you send in revised manuscript with the relevant data to the journal. And if they accept, then reviewers are satisfied within the author's response. That also will take 2 to 4 weeks. Then sometimes after 2 weeks, they will send the galley proofs. And again, you are checking all of those figures and everything, final collection, if there is any. And then you will send and that manuscript published. So you see that how many checkpoints, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 20 checkpoints every time to a mentor. This is, I am talking, the onus is on mentor. Onus obviously is on the young researcher, but main onus is on the mentor. I am checking those figures, I'm checking those everything. If I'm not satisfied, I want again go and match with the raw data, all the gel pictures and everything. The day-to-day notebook, that notebook maintaining is a skill and very important. So now we know now this process. Now let's see. Still it is going very slow. Now see the problems. Before going to the problems, I'm giving you different ways of digital manipulation, showing one example. What we can do that positively for our good, we can manipulate that also. See, this is the original gel picture. And now you do vertical stretching, the same spec picture, I stretch in this way. You see now it seems different. If I do horizontal stretching, you see now gel is totally different. If I do intensity low, there is also different. So if I do intensity high, it's again different. If I do split, see again different. If I do flip, 180 degree, again different. Now if you want that flip in the ulta, that instead of this 180 degree, then it will be again different. So one, actually I can claim there are, I did with this one picture 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, more than 6 experimentation, and that's the root cause. You see, now I will show the big laboratories, many things. And another things before going to that, I will have to say that digital era is giving me muscle. Obviously, it's giving me muscle. But digital era also giving muscles to your reviewers, also giving muscles to the people who are watching you. Because digital era, this kind of comparison is possible. See, if I use the same picture in 2010 in one journal and the same picture 2010 in other journal and same picture 2015 in other journal, earlier it was almost impossible because there are oceans of literature how to get that thing. But with the digital era, artificial intelligence, it's very easy to compare, and that's the thing happening. And we are in deep trouble. Not trouble, we are in a cleaning mode, going to a better world. You see this now, this particular. Now I will show the case by case. See this, these are three journals. So this picture, you see that reused in the JBC paper. The same thing is here from microbiology paper. So these are three journals. This picture used here, this picture. So these are, you see, there are same group in three different time. Sometimes in 2010, sometimes in 2009, same picture using that data reuse. Okay. Okay. If you see this, you see this statistical, these two pictures, exactly identical. You see, from a very big laboratories, from the very big institute in India, very famous lady scientist. You find exactly same. You see the dot and everything's like that. And this came to the papier, and the scientists say, okay, this is a infection immunity paper, exactly same graph of different genes. But my questions, and immediately this person, communicating author, responded and say that it's a silly mistake. It cannot be a mistake. I forgot to say one thing, that as a mentor, when this kind of things is happening, so do you think it's trivial? I don't think so. There are only two possibilities. Either you are doing this mistake, then you are dishonest, or it's a trivial mistake, you are not doing something, your student did that or postdoc did that, but you somehow didn't notice that. Then what happened? This is your fundamental job. So in fundamental job, you are trivial, you are callous, you are indifferent. So if you are doing that one student management you cannot do, then please do not aspire to become bigger person, director, secretary, or some things like that, because in your fundamental small job, which is your duty as a scientist, that's your lax. So don't aspire for bigger thing. So even after that, these are the writing in this K-induced PubPeer website. That is that ghostly statistics. Authors claim to have performed ANOVA while they basically did the pairwise comparison. Neither the variance of the samples look similar, nor ANOVA seems suitable for pairwise comparison in independent samples of varying sample sizes. So this is can the author provide the original raw data to verify the same for all figures in the articles? You see? So this is the questions. So my point, seeing this picture, actually, I'm asking to the reviewer, simple question. How can you miss this, you moron? Is it same thing as a reviewer, and it's a pretty high journal. This journal is infection and immunity. How the reviewer can miss? So reviewer is also not doing that particular job he or she is supposed to do. And you'll have to imagine any journal, at least 2 reviewers is required. Never 1, if not 3. Next case. From the same group in different papers. In one paper, you see this figure, identical images. This is your total, that your spectra, the same spectra. You see this one is clear that inside that there are this gel and this gel, they are different length, that they are not talking, they are not from the same, and they didn't mention in the methodology, they did the kind of splicing. If you see this, this is also undeclared splicing. If you have to, one point is like that I will tell you in your remedies actually, if you will have to do splicing, that in the methodology you will have to mention, yes, I put those inside that. If you are not doing that, that means you are doing something wrong. Now comes, this is from the another laboratories. This is fantastic. This is from a very, that you said that is from NET. So it's the Department of Bioscience and Bioengineering, Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay. According to me, there's the best IIT we have. This is the topmost IIT. So this is a molecular and cellular biology paper. It's a big paper, and this is not only one. There are multiple figure duplication and image manipulation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. See, in one single manuscript, you have duplicated or manipulated this many numbers. So you see that why I'm showing that. This is that link into that particular PubPeer. You see that how beautifully this vector control is being 180-degree rotation. So there are people who can actually notice this. So Elizabeth Bick is one of that thing, that when he sees these things, specifically histological slide, it's very difficult to immediately pick up those duplications. But there are people who have this kind of eye, so they can figure that out. So those kind of people are now volunteer. So you see that when initially this thing comes, because in the trail there are 24 observations, one by one, rebuttal and case after case. So after first letter, this Dr. Shantanu Ghosh wrote, hope we have satisfied all the queries. Let us know if you have any other questions. All the above observations will not impact the overall conclusion of the paper. After 24 trailing, mailing and everything, the paper was retracted. And retracted said that we retracted this article because there are multiple image duplication, figure 1, 2, 3, 5 and 10 that occurred unintentionally due to inaccurate copying and pasting from the several similar looking original images. So then why you wrote that hope we have satisfied all the queries? So at that time you didn't discover, you discovered. You thought that nobody will ask you anything. So ultimately, so now how Western researchers are looking at us, that's why I put this also. So this, if you see, this is definitely written by some Western researcher in that same trail, who was saying that I would like to thank the several other anonymous commentators who devoted their time to analyzing these figures for their exemplary teamwork in expediting the investigation of this paper. I would also like to thank MCB for their efficient handling of the issues after being contacted and then deciding upon retraction within a 4 months time span. Now they are saying to our institutes, our research funders, I hope DST, DBT, CSR, ICMR, somebody they are listening. They are not silenced. There is no silence, is no option here. Research institutes and research funders in India might want to reflect upon how they can improve scientific rigor in their institutional cultures. It is easy to succumb to the siren voices, insisting upon ever more aggressive hot scooping outputs, which then to widespread mystification does not end well, because real scientific progress is more often slow, painstaking and incremental, and this is unlikely to ever change. Oh, and another thing, as we move into the era of open science and the routine deposition of the original data, there will be no hiding place. Science, do it properly or don't do it at all. And then why IIT is silent? This is country's best infrastructure and best everything. And because of some of their scientists, we are getting this comment, do it properly and don't do it at all. You see now, I will go to that another picture, another case studies. Excuse me because it's a little slow. Okay. Now I will go to another area. I will show the institute. I will show a national laboratory, how pathetic that laboratory is. I went to the national laboratory. I see the website. Then most of the scientists are having, most of them, you see lab 1, lab 3, lab 5, lab 7, lab 9, lab 11, lab 13, lab 15. That is that's not a very big laboratory, that institute. That's a moderate size institute. And you see that national laboratory, that's lots of money. You see every one of them publishing this paper, these fraudulent papers, every one of them. And you know that then I find out they have a previous director has 14 fraudulent papers. I will show examples. And current director, I will not say current, just now last couple of months, because in CSR Institute, tenure is for 6 years. And if you are young, then you will get the second tenure, and then you will get the third tenure. So this director missed the second tenure. I don't know, speculate only because of this, because he went to a very small state government laboratory, and he also has 15 these controversial papers. And you see these directors' papers started retracting. He retired. You see, retraction notice to the previous director. So this article has been retracted. Please see Elsevier policy. So after discussion with the corresponding author of the 3 article led to the decision that this article must be retracted. This is that retraction site is saying already 3 papers retracted out of those 17 or 18 papers. You see that now I'm coming to the coveted Indian Nobel Prize, Bhatnagar Award. So when I statistic these are website, all in the website. These are, I already do the statistics for the biological sciences. And now I'm doing medical sciences. When I did that, this biological sciences, this Bhatnagar Award started from 1960 and up to 2019 already been given. So I checked and I did statistics from 1960 to 2018. You see that year wise during this time period that these many in 2017, these many papers of these Bhatnagar awardees are controversially in this PubPeer list. I went to the website, I checked each one of them. I show you those things. During this time period, total 99 scientists got this coveted award. Among them, 30 scientists are having at least one PubPeer paper in their name. I didn't bother about that because many of these 30 may be co-authored in one of the paper. Many times you are collaborator and that person is doing something. So I am not blaming them. Still, they have the owners, because when you are the collaborator, then you need to read the paper. You need to ask the question. It's not like that because of that in your CV, you are getting many things. So your responsibility is to read the paper at least. You have to understand what is going on. But still, I'm giving benefit of doubt. But 15 scientists who are Bhatnagar awardees are having blatant image manipulation in their papers. That means total 15.33%. These are our top researchers in biomedical field. Okay. And this is that if I break them into the institute, sum of total PubPeer articles by institute authored by Bhatnagar awardees in the biomedical sciences, you see Indian Institute of Science, Mount Olympus, where Father Zeus stays, you see the maximum. And this is another ethical question I will ask. The award committees, that is it ethical that when award committees are having member from the institute and you are giving the award to the same institute? That is also integrity, that is also ethical. This is according to me. I'm sure most of the young researchers will support me in this endeavor. You see, you name Delhi University, CMAP, CDFD, Bose Institute, BHU, NCBS, NCS, NII, everyone, even USA. You know, one of the main problem that one of the condition of this Bhatnagar Award is like that the person will have to work in India, and that will only be selected. So there are people, that is one person I got, that entire thing is in USA, but still got award. So now we'll show that another case. This is interesting case. A scientist from a top national laboratory, Biological Institute from India, all kinds of manipulation since PhD days. I calculated, I did statistics, I find this faculty has 3 from first author papers from his PhD days, those are manipulated. 1 paper from the postdoctoral lab in USA. That is a very controversial lab, but very big lab. Also that fraudulent. And as a corresponding authors, there are 3 papers from own lab, independent lab, are also controversial in this PubPeer. So you see that how beautifully this band is being flipped. This is the duplication. This is the cell paper. You see, this is that P21 thing. Here it is compressed. So a new figure ho gaya. This is in MCB journal, and this is in Emboj. You will see that those horizontal mirror image, how these things are going on and going out. And also in this paper from the independent laboratories, he never talked about inside the paper about the statistical procedures. So that was the volunteers. They saw that, they commented on that, that if you are doing some statistics, what kind of statistics you are doing, what is the detail, but never mentioned. So these are all of those things. You see the image duplication in the flow cytometric data. The same image used 2 times, and also horizontal stretching and compression. Let's see another case control. This case is showing 2 distinctly different ethical problems. Now in one paper, you will find 2 distinct ethical problems. It's a very interesting case. This, if you see first, let's see the paper. These are those confocal microscopy slides. You'll see that the same thing here used, and that figure number 6 and figure number 9, again, this thing is used. And if you, what I say, zoom in, then it will be clear to you. Similarly, in 6A2, this picture, again, this position, if you see that this is this bigger dot and a small cell, is same, again used. And in another figure, figure 1, you will see this position is clearly visible here. But you see, this is the control and this is the treatment. And not only that, this paper has 7 or 8 image duplications. So if you have 7 or 8 pictures, then you can publish a very good paper. And all of them have some sort of those image duplication. But the ORISM is like that. So this is that corresponding author. This is from a CSIR National Laboratory. The ORISM thing is like that, that this is the corresponding author or first author, their problem. But the main problem starts. This was a +1 paper. In the PubPeer thread, one volunteer noticed that this is what I was worried about and writing earlier about this journal, how editors are selected by +1. The editor who handled this manuscript is from CSIR CDRI, just a few kilometers from Authors Institute. So he's writing this volunteer CSIR CDRI India. That means some foreigners must be. Say that just few kilometers away. That means this paper is from CSIR IITR, just opposite side, earlier opposite side of the CDRI. You'll see, and not only that, another volunteer noticed that dear Chris Ketas, editors even can be more from the same institute. It happens in US frequently. But what is interesting in this case is the editor happens to be the graduate student of the communicating authors. Not on this article, but also in another +1 article. What the journal now has to find out whether adequate rigor in the peer review process was followed in these 2 papers. You understand? So that means the editor, handling editor, actually the graduate student from the corresponding author of this paper. So, you know, when I'm an editor, I'm in the editorial board of a couple of journals. Earlier, I was in diabetes also. So whenever I'm handling anything, there is a paper I will have to sign, always digital signature, that conflict of interest. So it is not my family member, not my student, not my collaborator, then only I have right to handle that paper. So as a +1 handling editor, that guy signed that documentation. So here the communicating author has this problem. But now the handling editor has the problem because he breached the conflict of interest clause. That is a clear-cut integrity problem. Ultimately, this paper in 2019 was retracted. And the +1 editors retract these articles in light of the above issues. After the publication of this article, concerns were raised about similarity between the following figure panels. During follow-up discussions, the authors provided a second set of flow cytometric data files, but they did not clarify the concerns with the original data sets. So, which call the questions and the validity and reliability of the results. So, +1 editors retracted that, and they didn't agree with that retraction, but so what? So, you see, interesting case here. There are 2 kinds of problems, ethical problems are there. Let's see what happening to the next case. Next case. Again, problem. So now I'm going to give you just snapshots of 2 Indian superstars. There are lots of superstars. There are small universities and others. I'll not pick them right now because I can talk 24 hours with these things. I'll showing from the big laboratories. They're getting crores of rupees funding. They're elected in all national academies. This person, she has total 40 articles in PubPeer, 40 articles which are having controversial data manipulation allegations. 40. And most of them, 90% or above of these she is the corresponding author, and you can see the creativity, all of those beautifully done, that what are those things, because the same slides using here, this using here, so duplication within that cell, how beautifully showing the duplication, image duplication, is writing that these are different publications. These PLOS ONE editors retracted this article due to this unresolved concern, which call into the question the reliability of the result reported in the figure 1F and 4C. Corresponding authors didn't agree with the retraction. The other authors did not respond or could not be reached. And this corresponding author is the elected fellow of all three of our national academies. She is the director of national laboratories. She was in numerous committees to decide the fate of young researchers. Actually, she still sits on these many committees. This is one Indian superstar. See that another Indian superstars. There is no gender bias. There is pan-India, no gender bias. Everyone is doing that. There is no religion bias. There is no caste bias. There is no bias in geographical bias. So this guy has a 45 articles in PubPeer and 5 articles already being retracted. So you see that here you will find the one important thing, that how reviewer miss that. You will actually laugh. When I see this, I was started laughing within myself. If you see this acting band, here it is acting band, here it is acting band, here it is acting band. But you see one thing. You see this experimental band, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You see 6? And acting band, they stretched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they stretched this, and reviewers also didn't notice that. They stretched it again and again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here you see the acting band 3, 4, 5. Here you see 3, 6. Here you said 5. So this retraction notice, you saw this article has been retracted. Please see Elsevier popular these things. And this article has been retracted at the request of the editor-in-chief. After strong evidence, they do these Western journals. These are Western journals. You see all of those reasons and everything. And this person is a chief scientist of a national laboratory. And you see the fellowships of fellow of Society of Toxicology, fellow of Academy, elected member, one of the Academy, National Academy, elected member, National Academy, NACI, elected member, Medical Sciences, Society of Toxicology, membership of editorial board. This is dangerous. He is in the editorial board member of Cancer Letters, Toxicology, Applied Pharmacology, Journal of Proteomics, Journal of Proteomics, Bioinformatics. So how come a person having this many articles which are now being retracted, that means evidence approved in the editorial boards of these journals, that somebody will have to write the letter. Maybe I will write. See, now this is another. So I'm showcasing another things being done. This investigation was done by me sometimes in 2019. That means these numbers are increased. And here are every link of those papers. This is the faculty list of a department from very famous scientific institute. This is the link. This is the MRDG of IIC. This department has 14 faculties. 11 out of 14 faculties, that is 78.57%, are PubPeered up for various reasons, with total of 38 papers. Some of these are for careless mistakes. But I told you that careless means also that you are not paying attention and seriousness to your fundamental job. Among these, 2 papers are already being retracted at 2009 and 19. So I'm sure within 1 year, other papers are also retracted. Departmental chair, the chairperson of this department, has 7 papers on this. According to the PubPeer comments by their volunteers, these are image duplication after changing contrast, intensity, cropping, image duplication with different background, undeclared splicing, identical images with different exposures, image duplication after horizontal stretching, image recycling between papers. Is image recycling, when you are doing this recycling, that first author cannot do. That only boss's involvement must have been there. Because if you published a paper in 2009 and then you are publishing a paper in 2012 with 2 different first authors, so this credibility, this creativity onus is on you. So please do not trust, and please go to the link and judge by yourself. These are all these 38 papers links. And now you understand this is the all faculties, and decide that who will be the teaching morality, ethics, and integrity. You decide. So let's see the other next cases. Takes time. Okay. So here you will find another case. What I'm going to say you, that unnecessary delay in response and eventuality. What I say, that when first volunteer in the PubPeer pick up a paper and find something wrong or something may be going wrong there, report to the PubPeer website immediately through artificial intelligence. At that moment, the mail goes to all of those email IDs, specifically obviously to the communicating authors. Okay, and then you will have to respond. And there are initially from 2012, most of the researchers in India, they delayed. Still they are delaying. This communicating author actually was a ex-director of an ICMR National Laboratory. Now he's a professor in some university. You see, there are multiple image duplication. You see these two experimental same. If you see these in the same article, if you see there are other biopsy and flow cytometric image duplication, you see the same image duplication also, this one in other articles also. Once this plus one and the same figure used in Frontiers in Oncology. So after this case first reported 2 years back in PubPeer. So 2 years back, most of that, more or less immediately, the senior author wrote, "Dear PubPeer, we have gone through your posted comments and thanks for the query. We are carefully looking into that. It has happened for the first time. It seems that some errors, mistakes have happened during assembly of figure panels, which are reshuffled several times during compilation of results, followed by division, submission, etc. We will, how come that many a time it changed? Because when you already marked the figures, and this is not only 3, there are other picture problems there, because just to adjust within one slide, I pick up 3. So we will soon get back to you on this matter," and never got back. So after 1 year of this reply, another volunteer responded, "We will soon get back to you on this matter. Is there any progress with this?" Still no reply. Just 9 days ago, this plus one paper was retracted, and this is the retraction notice. And this says, following the publication of this article, concerns were raised regarding the results presented. Figure 1, 4, 5, 6, 7. I told you that I showed you only 3. See that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 problematic figures. And however, the data received by the journal were not sufficient. So authors provided underlying data for some, but not all the blots presented in this article. However, the data received by the journal were not sufficient to resolve the concerns summarized below. However, in the light of these concerns, effective multiple figures that question the integrity of the reported result, the plus one editors retract the article. So if you are silent, if you are not responding, see, ultimately it goes to the journal reported by PubPeer, and then they contacted the authors, and obviously you do not have that data. So then they retracted. And you know, as to publish in plus one, you will have to have 1.5 lakh rupees you will have to give. So that is that funding agency is mostly governmental agency, 99%. So that's our tax money. So at that time I paid that money. Now it is retracted. So now who will get the burden of that publication charge? Forget about those other misuse of consumables and other money. So now this is another case. Where is the money is coming from? This is very interesting. I saw all of a sudden, this is a National Laboratory Director, DBT Institute. I all of a sudden see in the PubPeer there are 2 retraction notice in the 2 JBC papers, and both the papers has 2 corresponding authors, co-corresponding authors. That means these are the senior authors. One is obviously the director. Another one is another story I'm telling, that person is already very famous for wrong reasons. And then I see that director has another paper which is like that. These are those many image duplications between these 2 papers, JBCs, and JBC editor retracted that. And this director has another paper. I believe this is in Scientific Reports, where you see that beautifully, this is just mirror image that flipped. So this comments came in the retraction. This sister paper that happens to share this data retracted in 2015. The senior author, that means this other name, what I was telling, this is suing his most recent employer, where he produced these retracted articles for $8 million, apparently having suffered ghastly and appalling treatment in the process of being terminated. He terminated. He also alleges that because the university police department escorted him out of Ross Hall during the departmental meeting, he suffered mental distress. So you do, because I told you there is a retraction watch website, and there this guy already before 2015 already his papers 7, 8, 10 papers already they are retracted, and on the basis there are US government, US university already taking steps, everything known by everything. But I was perplexed when I see that this is co-authored by this DBT Institute. I went to the institute website, and you know what I find? I find this is the website. Go and test. This Professor Rakesh Kumar, distinguished professor and national chair of that institute, there's a DBT Institute. So he's getting money. So from where this money is coming? This is our tax money. So when you know this person is doing like that, then in this link, anyone can find all the retraction from this person from USA and other all the cases. How his recruitment was done? Who is paying him our tax money? I hope that DBT should tell me, because it is openly shown in their database. What kind of integrity, what kind of ethics we are talking here? So these are the stories of those scientific directly showing whether are other different kind of manipulation, duplication, that flipping, stretching, everything's like that. Now there are other points, there are other questions coming. There are other scientific integrity related stories from Indian science administration, but these are observations and maybe coincidental, since speculative, so that you judge by yourself. But I will tell you some of those stories. You know, major scientific organizations, India, CSIR, DBT, ICMR. And among them, CSR doesn't give grant money that much. CSR has a huge money within this scientific organization. CSR is a behemoth. CSR had lots of money, collectively more than those other organizations, scientific organizations. But CSR only look after CSR employees, CSR institutes. Very little money, small projects CSR gives. But DST, ICMR, DBT are also major grant giving bodies. They are giving grant giving bodies. So headquarters scientists, we call them scientists, but they are managing projects. They are managing the projects. They are managing how the project, there are different project, different groups, some communicable disease, non-communicable disease. There are immunology group, there are nutrition group, and they are involved as a chief of those individual groups. And what they do, they oversee all of those administrative protocol. That means proper project selection procedures. There are expert groups. Who will be the expert? How it is going on? There will be meeting. There will be presentation by those prospective grant seekers. Section-wise proper distribution of fund after selecting them. Then yearly review of the grants, that constituting proper experts, everything, they go like this. So they have important roles, because these are all administrative roles that step by step you will have to do that, because you understand that money given by government of India in time, in due course, you will have to distribute them, and there you will have to all the records and everything. There are lots of work on there. But now I'm finding now some of them appearing as authors in some of the scientific publication of those awardees. So that if they give to the A institute or B institute, they are doing some epidemiological studies or some experimental studies. Now we are finding this headquarters scientist names are coming there. Isn't this conflict of interest? Another thing, if you notice, sometimes drastic increase of creativity of publication after becoming national laboratory director. That if you check a total career graph before the national director laboratory directorships and after, you will find there is a quantum jump. That if you have 70 publications and you get the national laboratory directors, within 1 or 2 years of that, with your directorship, this thing jumps, crosses the 100. How? All of a sudden, by the touch of a magic wand, you become more creative? Quantum jump? How ethical? And then you will find that most of those other laboratories, you are the co-authors. No, and many a times not knowing what they're doing. Awards and scientific administrators. How ethical? You will find the people when they are becoming the top, their secretary, their DG, their director, immediately there are lots of awards, lots of private awards, everything started giving. And because Government of India actually stopped that Padma Shri and other awards giving when the people are in their administrative rank. There's a policy decision. You have IAS, IPS, these officers and that officers, when you are in the service, you will not be considered for those awards. But in science administrators and everything, if you see, most of them are started getting awards after becoming those science administrations. Is it ethical? Also, you'll see that I already touched having conflicts of interest still sitting in the award giving committees. That if I am sitting in the committee, how can I judge the people if they are from my university or from my institutes? Then I will have to excuse myself for that time. I cannot sit in that committee because I will always be biased to my kids. So these are other ethics issues. Let's see what are the consequences. Up to these points, consequences are not that much. See that immediately after that, and I started posting many of those posts in the social medias, that Director General of CSIR made a statement of scientific misconduct in CSR laboratories and interim action taken thereon. That means in this, he stated that there have been allegations of research misconduct involving CSR scientists in recent weeks in print media. Many of them, because you'll have to understand at the time that only Hindu was covering it. Hindu, that newspaper was covering that, and that for a short period, 2 weeks or few weeks, they came with lots of news with the headlines. And many of the allegations have been restricted to a few laboratories of CSR. And here I contest that he was telling all the time it's a limited problem. No, it's a pan-India problem. It's a pan-India problem, and all of those documents and evidences are there. At the time when the allegations appeared in print media, I have gone on record stating that CSIR views research misconduct as a grave offense and believes in upholding values of research ethics. Towards addressing these issues, a number of steps were initiated immediately thereafter. These are a committee, and never said who are the committee members. I want to check the committee members. I want to check that how many of their papers in the PubPeer. A second committee was constituted to draft guidelines, the ethics and integrity. I hope that the committee doesn't have any PubPeer person there. A conflict of interest policy of CSR already been put in practice. You'll have to understand this in CSR Institute or any national laboratory, most of those prime responsibility onus is on the director. And I already showed that CSR laboratories and other laboratories directors, the top directors are, I show the case studies also 3 or 4, actually more are there, because I have entire list of those people who are director, how many of them, their controversial papers there. So they are, how they can do when they will have to answer about their ethical practice, how they are the messiah of the practice of that institute. This statement was dated 2nd September 2019, more than years, but still we don't know yet the outcome. But what's going on? Obviously, today or tomorrow it will be retracted. You can be sure. It takes time, but it will be retracted. Humiliation, if people knows. So even that I told very recently there is a Nobel laureate. I forget the name. This is the first time I'm seeing that Nobel laureate and his name over and over coming to the PubPeer and started retraction. That he's a very recent Nobel laureate. And funniest thing is like that, when I went to those papers, because I don't research their paper that much, because these Western laboratories, I only restrict myself to Indian scenario. But I see that many of their first authors are of Indian origin. So also problems in promotion, job loss, future benefit loss, because I all of a sudden get called that see Dwaipan, I'm in a committee, it's a award giving committee. So this is the name, these are the names, some of the name, can you check in the PubPeer please? That means now people are started checking the names in the PubPeer. So young researchers, I'm giving emphasis, young researchers, junior researchers, they are suffering. I'm not saying that they are not suffering for right cause. They're suffering because they are doing this. But who are judging them? Now, how many of those committee members are practicing that, and what happened to them? So problems, future benefit loss. So if I see now, then other points. So now if you see this retraction watch.com, you will find those things. Many more papers are being retracted after mentioned in PubPeer, and many will be. Now scientific administrators can ask explanations for misuse of funding money, because now when it is retracted, that means you admitted, editors admitted. So those money, not only that when you are publishing the money, what I told in the PLOS One paper, you are spending 1.5 lakh. In scientific reports, you are spending the same. 60,000 or 70,000 rupees you are spending when JBC accepted a paper. So most of the journals, open access journals are, or for your paper to be open access, you will have to give the charge. So you are charging, giving that. And not only that, these are all experimental papers. That means lakhs of rupees, hundreds of thousands of rupees we are spending them. So when the paper is retracted, now the scientific administrators of DST, DBT, ICMR, CSR should ask explanation and show cause notice for the funding of the misuse of the funding money. Young researchers are suffering more, and most of the award giving committees are now checking PubPeer. One or two extreme cases, people lost their jobs, and those are pathetic. Job loss means in our country is a pathetic. I'm not in favor of that, because in the remedies I will tell you that that is too much. But that is also many a times I see they don't belong to the club. If they are not belong to the club, you have not favorite to the directors, they lost their job. Getting good Western postdoctoral laboratories becoming tougher, because they are seeing now the PubPeer, whether you are from PubPeer lab or not. In India, very recently, one national laboratory director didn't get second stint or tenure, probably because he has at least 15 papers mentioned in PubPeer. And prospective PhD students, especially the better ones. In India, if you find that, also I did sometimes say statistics. In biomedical field, biological field, there are 100 students, 70 to 60 students, not 100, so say 100 students. They are very good, because that above them, there are many students go abroad to do PhD. But these who are staying in India, there are 75, 80, 100 students are very good. But they are very good. They have other options also, better options also. Because I see when the list comes from the prospective PhD student in IIC or CCMB or IGIB, I see the commonality, the same kind of name, same people are getting everywhere, same. So that means those are very good students. So they have the options. They will see now the PubPeer. I hope after this talk, again, they will go and see those PubPeer, and they will avoid those labs with the controversial papers. So that's another consequences. So that are going to happen, but slowly but surely this will happen. What are the remedies? This is for my young friends, young researchers, that how far you ethically modify a gel picture digitally. If you have a gel picture, you will have to modify a little bit. So this is, as a mentor, that is my role to show you how far you will go and how far you will not cross. You have to see, you do best intensity resolution the moment you do the experimentation, best intensity, proper labeling, flow cytometric data to in that way, and do and lock the image. No more modification. You cannot do modification for the first time and the last time you finish and lock it. You label, you do everything. And that copy you put in your day-to-day notebook. No more modification. Also, I can give you another alternative. That is that you do horizontal stretching, you do longitudinal stretching, you flip, you do everything. But in the method section, you write that yes, in this picture 1A, I horizontally flip this, I stretch this, I compress this, here I change this, and then give it up to the reviewer. If reviewer agree, okay. If reviewer doesn't agree, then you understand what is going on. So that is the one possible remedies. And now I'm going to talk about all other remedies, what you can do, or that is for you those things. All researchers, especially prospective PhD students, should and must go through some courses in these directions. They will have to go to the ethical courses, scientific integrity courses, and the morality courses. Though scientific ethics, morality starts from your home. Hand-on training on image modification, not manipulation, should be taught, like those how far you can go and what you cannot cross. Mentor should and must devote maximum time with the students, as I show you the paper publication, how many steps are there. And if it is not every day, every week, raw data is must, that mentor and student should sit together. Must sit with the raw data, since it is very easy to blame the bench workers. I will show that how the bench workers only being blamed. It should not be. onus that if you are responsible, mentor will have to tell the full responsibility. Award-based evaluation and promotion must be stopped immediately, and we need to change this perspective. Here it is like that: if I get a Bhatnagar award, then I'm in the higher echelon, I'm in the Mount Olympus, I can do anything, I will sit in the every committee, and I will, until my professional career, I will every year I will get 1 lakh rupees, that 10,000 rupees for purchasing books and everything, no matter that how many pub-peered article I'm writing. So this award-based evaluation system must be stopped. Committee members must, because why this thing happening? Why every year we are giving Bhatnagar award, but we are not going to get biological Nobel Prize anytime soon? Because these things are club-based, and how many papers you are publishing? Because there is no quality, no judgment is there. But I'm not blaming totally to the committee members, because here you will find the committee members that one person is sitting in 50 committees, 60 committees, because every committee, external committee you sit, you will get honorarium of 2,000 to 3,000 rupees and other plane ticket and everything like that. So we are very happy that I feel like I'm a big god-like stature if I stay in the 50 committees. It should not be like it there. The committee members must read the papers and projects before attending the decision meeting. So when these things can happen, so this thing happens that a person should not be seated more than one, at the most two committees. Then I can expect the committee members to read the papers and the projects before attending the decision meeting. Nowadays, that is not the norm, majorly done by the club basis. These are demanding jobs, especially award and project award committee members' job. So one individual should not sit one, or at the most not more than two committees. Otherwise, they cannot do justice to their job, and then I cannot blame them. Blatant manipulators should be denied the research grants, because our topmost scientific administrator once told me in a meeting in this scenario, in this regards, that it is very difficult legal problem that I cannot take job of other. I say that, sir, who told you to take jobs? I am not in favor of the take jobs, because it is not USA that every time you will get a job another. Don't eat up that his or her job. Blatant manipulators should be denied the research grants. Institution and university should deny research students to them, at least for a moratorium period. That can be done, na? So then tell that person, that blatant manipulators, to do other jobs, to make him in charge of the library. As a mentor, what you can do now, there is another website. If the mentor, if you are very honest that you don't want any slip up, there is a BioXRV. This is not peer review, this is not a paper, but BioXRV is a wonderful site where actually anything you can post. Say that my paper is ready, so I want to see even the plagiarism check, any screening or any comments, I'll upload it there. As preprints paper hosted on BioXP are not peer reviewed but undergo basic screening and checked against plagiarism. So let it be there 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, and you understand if it is interesting, lots of comments will come. And if something done by my bench workers or by my any mistake, that will be pointed out, and then you modify and then you send to those things. This is a wonderful area. Every mentor should go for that. There is a caveat. There are certain journals, very limited number, but very hi-fi journal, Nature, Science, Cell, they don't want that archive like that. They don't want their data should be opened up before going to them. But that from the journal's protocol, but most of the journals allow bioarchive. So if you find something, then you can then change and send that to the peer review journal. My another just request to all the mentors: if you find something is not appropriate in an already published or accepted paper, as a mentor or corresponding author, take the full responsibility and gracefully retract the paper at the first chance. Later, you cannot have the chance. Please do not fight against evidences. Please do not complicate the case. I will show a case. Also, as a mentor, please do not publicly humiliate the bench worker, the PhD worker or postdoc, since you are also laxed in your fundamental duty to supervise him or her properly. That is also unethical. I will show that slide. There I will stop. See this paper, When Ego Hurts. This is the paper, When Ego Hurts, that ultimately you will do what it's meant to do, but you are fighting. This paper comes, you will see that clear image duplication long time ago came, and this is actually DGCSR's paper. And then that DGCSR's lots of manpower and everything, and that everybody started fighting with those, this is forensic evidence, this is not true, this is not true, everything. So then all of a sudden, Elizabeth Vick wrote that although I do agree that Chlamydo's albidus, one of the volunteers, that there are no obvious sharp transitions, there are unexpected similarities in the background of the top left corner of the both planets. This is unexpected since these are agar plates. So the background should not be identical. Here is a false color image meant to bring out the background. The middle panel is a bit lighter than the left panel, so colors are not completely identical, but there are patterns in between the bacterial dots that look remarkably similar. I hope the authors could clarify by showing the original photographs with the whole petri dish not cropped. I knew from very beginning they do not have the raw data. This is my personal this thing. So then after that also they are not listening. So another volunteer wrote, no, this does not make sense. First, I have done plenty of serial dilution spot tests and I am not aware of anyone who does replica plating of them. No, they are not the remarkably dissimilar. The differences are very slight, consistent with mildly different exposure of difference in post-capture adjustment. Overall, all 8 spots and their surrounding background are so remarkably similar in the 2 images that they are extremely likely to have a shared origin. As noted by these 8 volunteers, original pictures of whole dishes could easily be clarify the matters. And ultimately, author's correction, this just now came, then they are saying there has been erroneous and unintentional potential duplication related to the 2 top rows of the left and middle panels given the age of the article and the SCM that Shekhar Mandi lab has since closed. We no longer have the original images. We note that the potential duplication does not impact the conclusion of the paper. Then why you fought? And lots of people who are in support because is DG powerful, so all of those forensic evidence and every evidence. But ultimately that you will have to admit these things. So that's why I'm saying that this point, then when you are doing something, don't fight against evidences. Please do not complicate the case. Gracefully retract taking the whole on us. Now the second point, as a mentor, what you cannot do. This is my last slide. Ethical role of mentor and lessons to young researchers. This paper came from again a big laboratories in the molecular biophysics department of Indian Institute of Science. This paper actually mentor put as a volunteer to show how graceful he is. This paper was retracted by the author. The authors of this paper would like to retract this paper. The last lane where the positive control shown, there is a duplication, suppression of fact. I saw the jail, I didn't put it there. But after retracting the paper in that thing, he's writing the first author takes sole responsibility for this misrepresentation. So both authors would like to apologize. My point is like that, communicating, this is a 2-author paper and there is a communicating author and first author. Communicating author has the chances 20 times to see the paper that I showed the whole process in my very early slides. And when doing that, and this is, you are the mentor of the first author, then why you are humiliating the first author? Then you laxed your job. There's a 2-author publication from most famous Indian institute and already retracted. Instead of only taking the responsibility of retraction, mentor is pointing out only the bench worker. During the entire process of publication, what the mentor was doing. As a mentor, you cannot desert your students or postdocs or bench workers. As a mentor, you can repeat couple of major experiments by another student. That is practice of some of those laboratories. My laboratories, when a paper is going or a thesis is being submitted, I always, that I practice, I learned it from one of my colleague in IGIB, that couple of experiments I told other student to repeat. And then I put that other student's name also in the publication. But in that sense, there are checks and balances that you can decide as a mentor what to do and what not to do. And that is not me. Long time ago is actually told by the Chinese philosopher Confucius. Life is really simple, but we insist on making it complicated. And just yesterday, the Thursday, November 26th, with a bribery rate of 39%, India worst in Asia survey. This is not isolated case only in science and technology. We are in the crevice. We are in the just in the ages we are living. That is that culture. This is ethical. This is vulnerable. Until and unless my young generation woke up, because that is the most liberal time. At that time, you feel that all of us vertebrate. because there are all the time we ask for something, and that's why we are silent. That's why we are that if you become that academy member, then there is a rule that you will get 15,000 rupees per month. I don't require that money. This government is paying high, because if in the salary wise, as a central university professor, I am already in the top 10% of Indian population, where there are lots of unfed people, unfed kid. And for the 15,000 rupees in the per month, I cannot sell myself. So thank you. So I said silence is not an option. Silence is not an option. And inaction in the face of cheating leads to even higher levels of cheating. And digital era, you will see lots of this kind of thing is coming. So I think I'm done. So if anyone wants, I can answer from my side whatever is possible. Okay.
Thank you, sir, for your very thought-provoking and insightful talk. And then, like as sir said, that we can take the questions. You can either write your questions in the chat box, or if you wish, we can unmute you can raise your hand. So, sir, shall I start taking
I will, Uma, I will prefer that talking, because
talking.
I'm not that
No, no, sir, I will. No, sir, I'll read the question otherwise. Okay, so those who are not able to.
Oh, sure.
So, sir, the first question is from our very young student, Rishabh Vashisht. Rishabh, would you like to ask the question on your own? Yeah. You can unmute yourself.
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah, Rishabh. Yeah, please.
Okay. So good afternoon, sir. First of all, may I say it is an honor to be able to attend this seminar. I am an undergraduate pursuing BSc Honors Biomedical Science, and I noticed your frustration when you talked about the postdoctoral brain drain that happens in India. Like you talked about that they fly over the Atlantic and everything. My question for you is that what incentive do we as researchers have, except of course the love and allegiance for our country, to stay in India and conduct our research here instead of going to a country that would provide, as you said, a much higher funding and help us further science without many of the obstacles that we would find in India. I would also like to add that I would personally put national gain over my personal gain, but for me, scientific gain would trump national gain if a comparison was to be made. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Rishabh, but you misunderstood me. I'm not frustrated, because if you give me a chance again to do PhD, and I will go to, at that time, Europe was not open, I went to USA. So I have a bias for USA because I stayed there almost a decade there. So I know what research means to them. So how fanatic they are. 70% of the Nobel Prizes every year went to those that country.
Yes, sir.
That according to me, that going is a must, because then you understand what do you mean by research. It starts from a basic fundamental questions. The tougher the question, your chances of getting fame is also increases. But that is also, there is a caveat that only with the tough questions, only 0.1% will be successful, because there are lots of, because how come these many problems are there? Because earlier also these manipulations were there, and because they are not being caught, because we work all the time in a very low importance zone. We do replications or a enzyme kinetics or something. It may give you JBC papers and everything, and that is that your chance that committee members will count JBCs and give you award. But that is not the fundamental science, that new discoveries. When the moment you are working in a fundamental, important, cutting edge questions, if you do anything wrong, somebody in the other side of the Atlantic or Europe are doing the experiment, and they will catch you that you are saying wrong. So here, most of us, 99%, they are do not asking the right questions, that we are actually working like those Me Too kind we are working. But it is absolutely necessary, according to me, to go to the big labs, Germany, USA, Sweden, to see what the thinking. Then you will understand what's the difference, what to do the science. That when you are doing MSc or BSc, that I'm seeing a clear difference. That right now I have two kids. One of my kids is in Germany doing masters, and he did BTech from here. So and I am also teaching in the masters in top Indian university, Jawaharlal Nehru University. So I now see the clear, and I am in touch with my kid every day. So I see the clear-cut differences in teaching, that perspective. So until and unless you go, you talk to those people, then you do not know what are the differences that you should know by yourself. So it is absolutely necessary to go there, and then you decide whether you will come back or not, because you want to do good for the country. The moment you are earning money there, that economically you are helping India also. It is not like that you will have to come here and you are just not doing anything and you are helping the country. There are distinct difference between patriotism and nationalism. You understand that, and it will be clear in your mind. Okay, Rishabh?
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir.
Hello, good afternoon, sir. I am Gagan from ANDC University of Delhi. So I have two questions for you, as well as I'll share my opinion also in this regard. And really, I am following you on Facebook for the last 1 year, your comments, and I'm showing and discussing your comments with my students while teaching in the class. But I think my opinion in this regard is that problem starts from the school only, and the parents, we as parents, I'll say, help our kids to get the school projects and so on from various shops. And nowadays we are getting the maximum advantage of Google. Like, we have taught them Control C and Control V, how to do this. And we have told them that plagiarism is there, but you paraphrase. You just write. We don't encourage them to write on their own and get the comments. We never encourage our kids in this case. And while doing their PhD, they are not trained to write or do things, but they are toppers of the schools and colleges. So they want to do good. So due to the peer pressure also, they are forced to manipulate the data. Students are forced. The bosses are forcing them, or they are forced to do these things. Also, I'll like to mention or submit my submission over here that after postdoc, suppose a person is coming to join as a faculty or scientist in any research institutes, then obviously he has to write some grants and things like that. After writing the grants, he get the project also. But now what happened? The project agencies will say, funding agencies, you have to write the reports every 6 months. So instead of doing the work, he is busy writing project reports only. Every 6 months, he has to write project reports and things like that. And after, in the reports also, he has to showcase that we are doing something. So he is forcing the, directly or indirectly, he is forcing the student to manipulate the data to get the results. So I think the funding agencies should realize this, that we are not paper producing factories. We are not these. So we are always busy in showcasing, like you have seen for the last few months, we are busy in showcasing on Facebook that we have so much citations, we are top 2% or 1% scientists of the world and so on, these type of things, and congratulations messages are going on Facebook. So have we ever thought that what these publications have given back to the society? Never. We are not thinking in this direction. And you rightly said that mentors must devote maximum time to the student, but I'm telling you my example. While I did my PhD from IGIB only. So what happens normally, we try to choose the boss who has the big flags hanging around the boss, like directors or deputy directors, things like that, and checking the lab as how many publications the boss has. We never used to join the young faculty. We are not used to. And normally the students are not very keen to join a younger faculty. He join a big boss so that he will help him in getting jobs and things like that. My opinion in this case is that we should teach the students from the very beginning. Like what I'll give you a very good example, like due to this COVID pandemic, but like in India, we are not used to give open book examinations. But during this pandemic, the students have been given open book examination, and very happy to submit here that our student, like I'm teaching for the last 21 years at Delhi University, our biomedical science students, I'm praising them in public that except barring 1 or 2, most of them written their scripts on their own. Because in India, normally, if we are not training the students about open book examination, they are not used to. They just nowadays, they are copying paste, not copying paste from internet. They are asking their classmates to send WhatsApp the image of the answer sheet, and then they will copy it. So we have to teach them from the very beginning. So my opinion is, like you did this workshop, this lecture, we should arrange your lectures or these kind of lectures to the school students and school teachers, because we cannot teach them during PhD ethics. Like in, I'll give you another example because so many students are here. Like suppose in every one of us have done during our graduation or schooling titration, simple titration experiment. And if somebody knows that if we are doing acid based titration kind of thing, they know that reading comes at 12. So what they do, they will ask their classmates, कितने पे आएगा भाई बता दो. They are not doing drop. Teacher is saying do drop wise and get the results. Without doing the reading, they will ask their friends and write the reading in the box. Teacher will say do concordant reading. They will not take. They will just manipulate. एक 11 पे आई तो एक 11.5 कर दिया जाए. So this is what we have to teach them. We don't force them to get good results. We don't force them to write good reports. We teach them how to write this. We teach them from the very beginning. Organizing research ethics papers, giving research ethics papers in PhD as a coursework will not solve the problem at all. It will, in my opinion, it will not solve the problem. So we have to teach them from the very beginning, because we are taught in this way to control C and do control C and control V. Now you tell me, sir, how to encourage the funding agencies. Said they should not think the project scientist or principal investigator as a paper producing factories, because they expect from us that you should give some proper papers, good publications in good publication house will publish your like Nature, Science, Cell, or maybe at last what people are doing, they're going to Nature scientific reports. So at least Nature name is there, we should write something in that. जितना भी manipulation करना है कर लीजिए, but at least we should get some publication. So how can we deal with this problem? So that, because there is a gestation period, you need some time to do some good research, you need some time, and it takes time to establish a particular problem. I've taken a lot of time, but I need your opinion in this case and your suggestion, because your suggestion will work.
See, Gagan, that whatever you are saying is correct, but these are totally different forums. First thing is like that scientific reports is not Nature scientific reports, that is only scientific reports.
Yeah.
There is no Nature attached to that. See that those are problems very fundamental that we cannot solve that in this forum. Like those, see that what you said, that these days from CBS, first thing is like that, it's not from school, that culture, ethics, values, they entirely learn from the family, from the parents. This is the first time, and that I agree with those projects like those we are purchasing and doing those things, so you understand. So now in our childhood, that in our secondary or higher secondary, you used to write descriptive questions and others. Now that as a teacher, we don't teach in the class. So now parents will beat us up. So what we are doing, we are giving 100 out of 100. In that, in my younger student, when set for the CBSE class 10 exam, 1 lakh student got 10 out of 10 CGPA. And now every year in class 10, at least 2 lakhs students are getting 10 out of 10 CGPA. That is criminal offense. And even in the CBSE class 12, we will get 100 out of 100 those CGPAs that cannot make any sense. And but that's, as a teacher, we are doing that because we don't teach, and then we give those yes, no, very good answer, and we give the full marks. Yes, I agree with those things. But that is the total changes. Who will change that? But in the fundament, that when the funding agency problem, what you are showing, that that funding agency people will have to show something, because everybody, that what is going on, there is because every Western countries, first thing is like every Western countries, if you see, they are very developed because of their university system. All American universities or England universities, they are the top. German universities. In America, national laboratories are very few, and most of them is Los Alamos National Laboratory or Lawrence Livermore in California. They are working most of the time in the defense of their national mandate. The fundamental blue sky research is done in the universities, and in our country, universities are pathetic shape. Infrastructure, politics, everything are there. A little bit research doing only conducted in the national laboratories, and now come in the national laboratories, they will have to show that how many patent, what things you are doing. And in the biomedical, specifically biological laboratories, we do fundamental research, but to get the money, then we say that we will make this product, that product. So end of the day, we don't do quality research, we don't give the product. And when project period is done, nobody is bothered. Again, I will apply, I will get the another grant. So those are the different scenario. I believe in a utopic system. The moment I recruit an assistant professor, I will recruit 7 assistant professor in a utopia, and then I will give everyone 1 crore rupees to establish lab and everything in case of experimental science. And I will not tell anything what kind of research to do and other things to do. You will do blue sky research. After 5 years or 7 years, debatable, if I see the progression, then I will stop funding that who are not progressing. 1 or 2 will be progress. So they are the persons in USA also. They are the person tenure track. Here I cannot do tenure track. Come se come, wastage of money should be stopped, and the people who are doing research, because at that time actually none of us believe in communism, but at that time getting funding in a university, everything is believing in communism, that everybody needs the same money. So if I give 1 crore starting money, and then after 5 years or 6 years I take decision on the performance, then it is all right. So this kind of drastic decision have to be taken, and research funding will have to increase, because now it is a little bit, so they can, every economy all over the global economy runs by the demand and supply. So granting money is important those cases. So absolutely, but this is that problem starts from the school, from teaching. So see that in my school of this biotechnology, there is a teacher called Devapriya Chaudhary. There is a chemist called Dr. Balaji. The moment they say that we will do open book exam, every student say no sir, no sir, no sir. Because see that you'll have to understand that this digital era is exposing us as teachers, that one question to do like that open book questions, I will have to read, I will have to be a fundamental understanding. 90% of us in India as a teachers are incapable of to do this kind of open book examinations, because then I will have to find the problem, and that kind of questions, the moment I think, I have the capacity that whole day, if I think, then I can give 3 concepts together, one question that you will have to think. So this actually pressurize us more than the students in this digital era, that take away home exam. So we will have to improve fast. So I agree with you. So did I answer your question?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay, so sir, there are few questions from the YouTube live streaming also, so I'll just read
Please.
that. This question is from Vidhi Jindal. She's saying it's definitely an honor to attend such an informative session. My question to you is that, as you mentioned, Japan is the least affected by such practices. So what can we learn from them?
Now, Vidhi, there are advantages and disadvantages. Yeah, Japan is a very ethnic, very old, very conservative country. But that's their advantage. They don't do, because there are rituals that if you lie or in the adult life and some things like that. These days also sometimes they practice that in front of the superiors you will have to cut your thumb. So if you see in the Japanese culture, the people with a cut thumb or a cut finger, that means that person is doing something unethical. But in other scenario also, Japan for a visit and everything is good. But if you go to the society and see the way the women living there is pathetic, because if a foreigner marries a Japanese girl and their kids will not be Japanese citizen, but Japanese father, then they will get the Japanese citizen. So there are advantages and disadvantages. But normally it's a warrior nation because of the geographical constants, is a fighting spirit of Japanese and others, and they are much more straightforward. But if you see the plagiarism, then you will find lots of plagiarism, because actually I didn't say that there are scientific disintegrity and plagiarism. Plagiarism is a different thing, and I have a very soft corner for plagiarism for the non-native speaking English people. Say that I am writing papers on the diabetes, so after 10 or 20 in the introduction, some of the times I am using the same sentence, because English is not my mother language or father language. So in case of Japan also that is true. In plagiarisms, there are quite a few plagiarisms, but this kind of disintegrity in the scientific disintegrity, they are rare. But that's they are part of the society. They are trained, they are born and brought up in that same way. So that culture starts from the home. So if we start in a new generation, start to teach our new kids in that same way when they are in the class 1 or in the infant, it's like that. See that I can give an example, because earlier days when my both of my kids were very small, then I used to drop them for the school buses. So if sometimes I find that the timing delay, so I drop them in their school. So at the time I see, when I am in the very wee hour in the morning, when I'm driving the car, I see there are lots of car in the same road in the opposite side, in the opposite lane is coming, which is prohibited. And next to that, there is a little child. So father or mother unknowingly teaching their kids that this is the norms. You can violate the traffic rules. They jump the red light with their little kids next to him or her. They are without the seat belts. They are in the front seats. So unknowingly, those kids are learning those things. And then sometimes they are doing traffic violation or accident. Then as a parents, we are crying. Oh, there's crocodile tears. I cannot say crocodile tears. This is too cruel to say that. But the seeds being sown long time ago. So that's the scenario, so that we can change the society, but giving the examples, but by preparing ourselves and teaching our toddler from very beginning. So the value system is with the parents.
Thank you so much, sir. And it's like rightly said, it's a very old saying, and that stands true even now, that practicing is better than preaching always. So we have to practice in front of our kids, in front of our students, and we just can't expect them to behave, ethically if we ourselves are not following that. Yeah. So second question is from Amandeep. She's asking, will the image manipulation reduce if we shift from qualitative to quantitative reporting of images, where raw images can be provided with statistical measures?
Now see that journal will give you limited space, but nowadays many journals, they're that good journals, they're asking raw data immediately. So that is the norm. And whenever there are some discrepancies, everybody asking the raw data. So if you cannot provide raw data, then they will not be happy. So this is obvious that raw data is not there. But why to go there? That the first thing, as a bench worker, you don't modify, don't manipulate. And as a mentor, you every week, if not every day, you sit with the students with the raw data, you do the lab meeting, you do everything, you mark, you sign the pages after seeing. And as a mentor, you should not allow the students that to have the blank lab notebook for more than 24 hours. If you perform an experiment, if not that night, but next day morning, you will have to complete the lab notebook. That should be norm, because that is that when we are doing research, that is my fundamental job.
Okay, sir. So next question is from Hiru. Like, if you can unmute yourself.
Sure. Good evening, sir. I'm Hiranyamay Dash, or Hiru, a BSc Biomed student. I really appreciate the fact that you emphasize on checking the sources ourselves rather than just giving us theoretical information. And I also would like to thank Dr. Gagan. That was also a very eye-opening perspective into the causes of all these mishappenings, unethical conducts. Sir, I have two questions. Sir, the first question would be, in many of the reports you showed, the authors have replied by saying that all of these duplication and image manipulations are completely unintentional, and so they have redacted the paper. But that is obviously not true. How can someone unintentionally just simply manipulate images, duplicate? Okay, to some extent, okay, I understand. But what changing intensity, flipping it to make it appear as if it's real data and all. So that is obviously not unintentional. It's just an excuse, right?
No comments, because I said my first point was like that. When I see a duplications or any kind of manipulations like that, as a mentor, either I am dishonest, I'm very candid, either I am dishonest or is a mistake. So then that's my fundamental duty to see, because I show you that step to step there are how many steps from first experimentation, write the first draft up to the acceptance. There are 20 times you have got chances to sit with the pictures, slides, raw data, and the paper. So then you are callous and indifferent to your fundamental duty. So either you are dishonest or you are callous and indifferent to your fundamental duty. Yes, it's a mistake. So it's your fundamental duty, because people are saying that ek mistake or two mistakes, so it's not multiple, but even the one mistake, then you missed your fundamental duty. So if you are callous and indifferent to your fundamental duty, don't aspire yourself to becoming director, secretary, these, that, like that, because you are failing your small area. So, but other things are whether this thing intentional or unintentional, this is no comments, because everything is there. So why bother that? Why you want to throw salt in the injury?
Right, sir. That is very true. And sir, the second question would be, with so many things on light, lakhs, crores rupees of funding, the representation of various institutions, the representation of one's own country, why do people would, it's a very basic question, sir. I apologize. But why do people engage in such level of misconduct with so much of things online? Like, why risk it, sir? You are not only risking your own career, you're risking the reputation of your esteemed institution, you're risking the reputation of your country and your mentors and so on. So why not just do it
See, that I will
honestly?
answer. That I will definitely answer. In this country, nothing happened. So that what happened? That I did that. I saw the Bhatnagar award is like that. So many fraud and everything. They got Bhatnagar award. I think that Bhatnagar award is 10 lakh rupees at a time. And then every year you will get 1 lakh rupees for your travel all over India, wherever, because you preach science. And there will be 50,000 or some thousand rupees like that. You will get every year to purchase books for your own benefit. And then you will get 15,000 extra to your salary because you are a Bhatnagar awardee. So when you will go to a conference in the Mount Olympus, you are the god Zeus. So everything is there. But when these things are going on for the 2012 and lots of those things, tell me what happened. Nothing happened. They don't even bother, because there are, I say that I can talk 24 hours. In Indian Institute of Science, one person, he was the chairman or a big shot there. So he has a blatant 5 to 6 papers there. In one of the papers, that paper was retracted. And there he is writing, okay, this retraction here, I will change the title and publish the paper elsewhere. So much was their audacity. So in India, nothing happens. That India, what happens to whom? This is that I am in a small area. I am seeing science, I am seeing teachings and everything's like that. I am finding these are caveats, these are the problems. The people in the banking sector, they are saying they are seeing their problem. So it is not the first stage cancer. This is the metastasis stage. So here, what happened? To tell me that these many people, what happens to whom? Nothing happens here, because if you belong to the right club, all excuses are gone. That if it is in USA, then people, they don't do that, because there is a Office of Research Integrity, ORI. There will be immediately investigation. That just today also Papier, I check Papier every day. Is my investigation, because most of the people, the administrators and everything, they don't like me. So I'm not liking by most of the time from the 20 years my independent career. I care hoots. So I am not in most of the committees, but I have many times I sit in the Papier. Just today I saw a Papier, that is the Indian group. I immediately went, but then I noticed that Indian group is from USA. that paper is retracted, and immediately I saw that track, and I went there. I saw that person was the editor-in-chief in 4-5 journals, omic journals, and everything. From everywhere he is removed, and his department gave immediate notice to him, show cause. So there people will think twice. Why in Japan? Because Japan, that person asked me the question, Japan also, that if you do that, then there are severe consequences. Here there is no consequences until and unless you give at least 1 or 2 exemplary punishment. Nothing happens. Here in JBC case, there is one fantastic case from NCSS Pune before these cases of this Papier. Nothing happens to this person. That paper, JBC paper is retracted, everything done, but nothing happened from here. He's member of these 3 academy, National Academy, nothing. These National Academy members, when they are appeared and their paper retracted, what step National Academies are taking? Nothing. So there is no consequences here.
Right, sir. So if I understood you correctly, the reason it just boils down to like money and power and lack of consequences. Sir, I believe science is not a field where one should pursue money and power. And I would also like to thank you once again. I believe your perspective of educating, opening the eyes of the youth is one of the most effective methods of communicating the just thoughts you're trying. And thank you, sir. Thank you on my behalf and the behalf of my fellow classmates.
Thank you. So it's the problem at the grassroots level. I think so. The whole system, the entire system needs that overhauling, because this problem seems to be inherent. So there are many comments and questions. So I'll just read a few comments also. It's an eye-opening talk. To be careful even to cite. Really an eye-opening presentation. One of the participant is saying, today I came to know a bitter reality. Thank you, sir, for giving such an information. Very resourceful and informative. Feeling glad I got a chance to attend this webinar. So, sir, like, as I said, like when I was inviting you, that it's going to be a hit. Like people are going to really, like it, because at least we all like are not aware of such things happening. Not everyone is aware of that, especially younger students and the younger faculty members. So again, another participant is saying, wasn't aware that such things are happening at such a large scale. Okay, so there is a question now. Can social sciences researchers upload on biorexiv.org for such checks?
I think anybody can. Upload there. But thing is like that, the audience. If social science audience are not there, then you will not get that help. I'll say that if I upload a mathematics paper, but mathematical experts are not there, nobody is reading your paper, so nothing will be there. But one purpose will be served, because I forget to mention that bioarchive is also giving a chance that if you are working in a competitive field and you find that there may be a scoop that when you are working that problem in the world, there are other people may also working if it is cutting edge in the same area. That's why in my students I say that though by international labor law that 8 hours per day, but when you are not working, somebody, if it is in a cutting edge, that somebody somewhere in the globe is working. So anytime you can be scooped, and then you cannot blame but yourself. So in that scenario, bioarchive give you an edge that if you upload that your paper in the bioarchive, then your right on that in the International Court of Law and everything, patenting law will be with you, because you can show by date that this day I upload, because that thing will be there. But if that particular subject audience is not there, if somebody is not reading that paper, then you do not expect the comments and plagiarisms like those things, because that side will be missing.
Yeah. Okay, sir. So, sir, Dr. Seema Gupta also want to ask something, like Dr. Seema, if you can unmute yourself.
Thank you, Oma. I'm Seema Gupta from Acharya Narendra Dev College. And
Hi.
I thank you, sir, for such a discussion. And I also thank Uma also to bring you for such a discussion and such a topic during her presentation series. Actually, one part of my question has already been addressed by Dr. Gagan. But since you were mentioning again and again that the fault is not majorly by the with the bench worker who are actually the young researchers, because most of the research in India is being carried out by the PhD students. And at the same time, it was mentioned by Dr. Gagan about the open book exam. Since I also happen to be more of the teaching than less of the research, because of teaching in undergraduate college. So I wanted to actually share the view that it is kind of cleansing the whole system, but we do not know like from where to start, from the lower to the upper of the staircase, or we have to throw water from the upper and then clean it. Because when we say the such kind of practice starts at home, as you also mentioned and Oma also mentioned, but there are students coming from that kind of community where the parents even don't know what the education is, what the children are doing in the school or the college. They are busy in the what kind of jobs. There can be laborers, they can be auto drivers, like, and they do not know what is being learned. They are so much into their daily lives that such things they don't even feel about. Okay. And then and the school is there. I don't know, I'm not blaming school. No teacher will encourage for such things. But yes, we do see, like in our open book exam, I did see that when I was mentioning the students, you copied from this, you copied from this, they became alert. And after that, what they started doing the sharing the websites from where the matter can be, because we take so much of time. We really worked hard to create such kind of questions where they really have to answer the question. But then the students they started sharing the websites. So from where it is coming, it is in the students. So that is why I'm saying, from where the cleansing has to be done. Do you think it is from the top level, or in fact it is from the lower level, as the lower step as well? So actually both the processes has to be simultaneously. We cannot say that the bench worker didn't had
No, I didn't say that bench workers didn't do anything wrong.
yeah
I didn't say that.
yeah
I
yeah
say
yes
that
yes
when, as a mentor with my research student or postdoc, whether postdoc or my PhD student, he or she is the first author, na? I'm the
yes.
corresponding author. So, but I didn't say that first author or bench worker didn't commit that mistake or crime. Let's say that if you manipulate, it's a crime. I didn't say that. I say that if that person is doing that, it's his or her fault. I say, but as a mentor, I have onus, I have a responsibility to show the right path. So I missed that fault as a mentor in some way. So when the situation comes, situation demands, and if thing happens after the publication, that onus solely on me as a mentor, I will say, yes, I am responsible, I am retracting the paper. And then I will sit with my bench worker and show that what is correct and what is wrong. I faltered once, but next time I will not falter. I do not expect, and I will, as my kid, I will sit with the person. I will not desert the person at that time and blaming that person in the website as that IISc professor did, that first author solely responsible for that thing, I will not write. There I will write is my entire responsibility. This is my perspective. But in the laboratory, I will sit with the person. I didn't say that that person's is very honest. He did a mistake, but my onus as a teacher, as a mentor, to correct the mistake. Because my kid is my home, my kid is doing something wrong. I cannot desert him or her. That is clear. But one thing
Sir,
is like
I
that,
think
no matter what family that person is coming, that from Riksapular, from where, whatever, because that is that in Kahavat hai is a Shrom ka Maryada, because that is only in India. That is that I stayed 10 years in USA. So that is that another major difference, and I think that is also ethical to say that this person is coming from Riksapular and other, because there my wife was a postdoc in a laboratory, Dr. Ken Beman. He was telling my father was a truck driver. So there is no discrepancies that truck driver in the social society is a different level. So that is only in Indian and subcontinent we say this is from this daddy is a Riksapular and other. It comes to my mind as if there is nothing wrong, and that is actually wrong. But that is I am not going from that a inch that ethics value system inculcated inside the kid's mind from the home. But still in that situation, when two kids behave differently, maybe they are epigenetically programmed differently, one knows, because I always say that one person is good without knowing the bad side, and one person is good knowing the bad side. There are differences, because the person who knows the bad side, still value system is good, he or she is really good.
thank
But
you, sir. I think my question was incomplete, and I
uh,
maybe I made some error in putting it. What I wanted to say was that first of all, what I wanted to say that like when we were in the school, you know, all around in the walls, it was always written "Sada Sach Bolo," speaking like, and it was almost, you know, put in our minds ki agar sach nahi bolenge to कुछ हो जाएगा. We have to always speaking truth. This is what I'm saying. And बचपन में ही वो चीजें अंदर डाल दी जाती हैं. मैं जो मैंने आपको ये example, but I tried to say about, you know, that I was not trying to say कि because they belong to that family, so they are doing that. It was not the same thing. What I'm saying is that they don't even know that what the children are doing in school and college. Though I do believe that yes, some way or the other, indirectly they do have you know, that part of the nature. It can be any class of the family, but at the same time, what I'm trying to, I don't know, I'm just trying to say that the kids, how they learn. And like one student just had put this question, that what was the pressure, why they were doing all this, why this plagiarism. So this is what I'm saying, what pressure on the kids, why are they forced to copy, mass copying?
So why they will not copy? See that Gagan touched the correct thing. I saw that in those school they say that do a project. Parents are going to the shop and purchasing those project-wise materials, and then that person is going that kid is going to the school from class 1, class 2, class 3, going deposited. What you expect?
Yes.
Is it the right teaching parents are giving? If all parents are telling that go and do the project yourself, and then the marking will be there. So these are actually we are hypocrites.
Yes.
That that's the same from values that unknowingly these kind of values are inculcating there. Show me a single parents in those private schools and others. They are not going and competing each other. Each other means competing each other parents, that whose project is better just by purchasing these things. So those are the things, value system. And when these students are coming to do PhD to us, is a 23-year-old, is a mature adult kid, knows the value system is already inculcated. So there, I can show that that what I am saying, that digitally manipulation, how far we will go and what I will not cross. And they will have to understand the consequences, if consequences exist. So with exemplary consequences, that will be stopped. Otherwise, we will have to reshape our value system. That's a societal thing, societal scientist, that's a huge thing. I'm not even thinking about that to change the system and society.
So, sir, there are many questions, but in the best interest of time, I think so I'll take one or two more questions. Deepti,
Please.
can you unmute yourself and ask your question? Deepti. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. I am Deepti. I completed my biomedical sciences degree from Bhaskaracharya College. My question to you, sir, is that statistics have shown that there are more retractions and more errata papers from the field of biological sciences in which most of us belong, as compared to fields like chemistry and physics. So why is that the case?
No, this is not the right thing, because I showed that because Papier site is started with the image duplications and image manipulation. So now volunteers are coming for theoretical physics and everything, and those are everything coming. This is the metastasis stage. It's not like that biology is all the biology people are doing this kind of thing, chemistry and physics and other people are not doing that. Everybody is doing that. It's just like the time. Now the volunteers and our tools are geared to catch this kind of papers. But every time digitally and every new tools are coming, we are becoming stronger with the new muscle power, new tools. And they will also come. They started coming. If you go to the Papier now, you'll find the chemistry paper, physics paper. See that chemistry, specifically nanotechnology, is full with the fraudulent papers. In the you see those chemistry, those people that pure chemistry with different kind of spectra, then you will find full with those things, because those are images. So those are people are volunteers are challenging and getting. So this is not true that others are angels and this side is demonized. No, all are same, just waiting for the particular tool to get it. Am I answer your question, Dipti?
Yeah, I think so. She is unable to unmute herself, sir. So another question is from Dr. Mohammad Jahangir Ali. Can you just unmute yourself, Dr. Ali? Dr. Ali? Okay, maybe we can come back to his question later. Okay, so Rishabh wanted to ask another question. So, sir, Rishabh, unmute yourself, yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So I am Dr. Mohammad Jahangir Ali from Oman.
Go ahead, please.
So nowadays I am working as associate professor in Al Burimi University in Oman. So we are also conducting the graduation project, and the students are submitting the graduation project, and we are conducting, we are scrutinizing the this graduation project with the Turnitin report. There is a plagiarism checking report in the website. But most of the students are research scholars, so they are not submitting properly and duplicating of the graduation project. Sometime already they publish the research paper like this. So, doctor, whether the research is conducted honestly, everybody, then how to control this plagiarism? Any type of, and we are using this in a technical way, Turnitin report, Turnitin app also, but there is no honesty.
Plagiarism checking is very easy, because there are lots of plagiarism software commercially available. That in our university, Jawaharlal University, we have Turnitin. So
yeah, we are also
even in
using
the so it's very simple that you have given a project, that project should be checked through the softwares, and there will be cutoff in JNU that if you have more than 10% plagiarism, because when you are submitting your thesis, whether it is a master's thesis or PhD thesis, because JNU is a special kind of university. We do not have other than masters, PhD, MPhil, like that, no graduation, that BSc or BA, except in School of Languages there are BA degree. So whatever thesis you are submitting, you will have to test it, turn it in, and there is a cut up 6% or something cut up, I forget, that you will have to show the certification that it is 6% or less. If it is 8%, 9%, you will get 0. So problem kya hai? There is no problem.
Okay. Thank you, Doctor.
Rishabh, you can unmute yourself now and ask. Yeah. Yes, Rishabh, are you able to unmute? Okay. Let me just, give me a second.
Rishabh cannot unmute himself. Probably need help.
Hello,
Yeah,
am I audible now?
Oh.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, thank you for the clarification on my last question, sir. I would also like to add that I completely agree with Gagan, sir. That titration reading example was very close to the heart. Another question I have is that in some of these cases, it seems that even if all the editors of a journal are not in agreement, the articles are still retracted. So what system of checks and balances is present to avoid ethical papers from being retracted just because of an envious contemporary, a jealous contemporary who put enough pressure on the editors through the power of the internet? Like in some of these cases, duplications and image manipulations are very apparent. But what about researches in fields which are incredibly new and it would be unclear if an unethical practice was conducted or not? Thank you, sir.
If I understand correctly, that there are the retraction, the process of retraction may problem. So I don't think so, because that retraction is never done by the reviewers, because reviewers role already done when the paper published. That retraction process done by the editor, chief editor itself. And when there are evidences there, because then only if there are any simple chance, they used to give a chance for a erratum. But if that is not the chance, only then they retract the paper. So I never saw in my entire of this life in Scopus journals any mishandling for the retraction. I do not buy it, because retraction happened with the evidences in the hands. There is no young researchers, no senior researchers bias there. So, and no one can pressurize, because this decision always be done in a committee, because I am in some of those committees and there are those things, checks and balances. Retraction never happen in that way, that in a biased way. Retraction is the last resort. So I do not agree with that.
Okay, sir. So the reason I asked this question was that cancel culture is a very real thing when it comes to social media and other like YouTube and other streaming platforms, because what is done there is that if enough people just put all of the pressure on a single person, it's usually the single person that has to budge. So that's why I was wondering.
No, I do not think so. If a single person didn't commit anything wrong and other, that person has nothing to budge. That person budge means that something is going on. And no social media can pressurize a journal to withdraw some paper without evidence. Because end of the day, there are court of law and everything. People may go to the court, and then court can ask for those evidences and others. So that's why I am not agreeing with that.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Have a nice day.
The next question is from Dr. Kapil Roy. Dr. Kapil, if you can unmute yourself. Dr. Kapil? Okay, I think so. I'll read his question. He's asking, can plagiarism lead to court cases?
Okay. Actually, we didn't touch plagiarism here, those things. But I think definitely. See that that depend upon the context also. That if I plagiarized a book toe to toe and publish another book, definitely the first book author can go to the court cases. And if I plagiarize some quotes that may end up in the court. That depends upon what I am plagiarizing. That is that context. So if I plagiarized in a scientific manuscript a little bit of introduction from other paper, no, it will a plagiarized case, but nobody will go or get a court case for that. But I plagiarized a total book, then obviously it will be difficult. That one of our this was the simple case, but this thing happens, this plagiarism of book and other, some unknowingly happen. That unknowingly means I'm giving you a real example. This is one of those ex-CSR Director General. He published a book. Actually, the other person, the co-author, that induced him to be the co-author, and both of them published a book. It was entirely plagiarized, and this was a newspaper scenario and everything. And then that ex-DG was saying, no, I was not involved, I was innocent. Again it comes, then don't take undue advantages. That the moment you are taking advantages of authorship and other, then onus and responsibility is same to you also. Then you cannot escape that my name was there. So at that time you took the name, in your CV you are writing that, and then when some responsibility comes, then you cannot avoid that. But yes, that plagiarism, depending upon the context, it may end up in the court with the evidence if you have.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Sir, what happens like when the image duplications are there? I don't think so there would be any court cases.
No, because image duplication, your image, you are manipulating, you are doing those things. Yeah. So you will be shamed, you will be that your that is your scientific integrity, and then you will lose your job if you are in Western countries. You will immediately lose your fundings and everything.
Yeah, okay.
And if you go to the court, that they will fire me and they will do injustice and other things, and you will lose all the time.
Yeah, rightly said, sir. So I think so it has to be collaborative efforts of all of us together, the entire scientific community. We have to understand that this is not the correct way, and we have to maintain that scientific integrity and ethics. So I think so,
definitely. One thing I want to say that today's scenario, in earlier days, say 5-10 years back also, that if I'm doing some experiment and that I'm not getting the desired result, all the time I'm getting negative result, and most of the time I was frustrated, because at that time there was no way negative result was can be published. But these days there are journals who started to publish negative result. PLOS ONE is actually initiated to publish negative result. So negative result is publishable and is important result, because if I write a paper on my negative results, then nobody will spend money on that experimentation further. So lots of money funding will be saved. So it has a huge importance. And today we can publish negative results. Negative results I cannot publish in Nature and Science, but PLOS ONE scientific reports I can easily publish. So when I can publish negative results, why I bother to manipulate?
Yeah, very true. Because you are getting the credit for your work, be it the negative result, because at the end we want that our work should be acknowledged, be it a positive result or negative. And if we are able to publish the negative result, you rightly said there is no need to manipulate. Yeah. Okay, sir. I think so. I would now invite Dr. Siddharth Siroy, Department of Polymer Science, Bhaskaracharya College of Applied Sciences, to present the formal vote of thanks. Dr. Siddharth, please.
Thank you, Dr. Uma, for inviting me to share vote of thanks. Professor D. Bharadwaj has already said a lot of things about research integrity in the digital era, and we are really thankful to him for sharing very informative discussion. And sir, you have rightly said a lot of things are happening, and you have seen and you have given some examples how our research people are doing and what kind of research level we are having in India. In fact, you have shared a few examples, and but this is not the whole story. And few venture people are bringing bad name to the country, bad name to the laboratory, as you showed some of the work. And it is really important to know what is happening. And in this discussion, students from undergraduate courses are there, and they are the researchers of tomorrow. If they know it, what is wrong and what is right, so definitely it is going to help them. And you have really touched those issues, and whatever experience you are having, and you have shared the information about the platform at which you are giving your comments, and some positive results you have seen. If you're commenting something, some of the papers are being retracted. Yes, of course, in India the progress is very slow. So, but nowadays agencies are now looking into it, and if you look at the UGC is also there, and they have given some directions regarding these kind of problems. So, on behalf of this Research and Assessment Committee, I really thank you for sparing your time, and I thank participants also. And some of the queries were really very good, and people tried to share their experience and how those things were happening, and you have addressed all the issues in a very efficient manner. And I really look forward for your help if anybody of these students approach you regarding any clarification. So thank you very much. And
sure. See that anybody wants to know anything or some things like that, I'm always available, because I
Yes.
have enough time all the time. So my email ID, my phone number, all are easily available.
Yeah.
And also by my name and my surname. I checked
Yes.
in the Google, I am one piece in the world.
Yes, yes.
So-
And sir, you have rightly said, the role of the mentor is very, very important. And when you are into research, and if you are looking at the research work of your student, and yes, when you're going to be a corresponding author, so chances of error are very, very low. And
not only that, as a
yes.
mentor, I will go that unimaginable distance to save my students. If they are
Yes.
faulty also, that I have honors to correct them.
Right,
But
sir, right.
I will never desert them.
Right,
That is
sir,
not the
right.
correct way.
So, and in fact, you have given your experience, idea of your experience, and how you are doing, and what kind of steps you are taking. And it is I think good information for the youngsters, and who are going to be the researchers of tomorrow, and my faculty colleagues who are also into the research, so that they may not get involved knowingly or unknowingly in these kind of problems. And with this, I would thank you, sir, and thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Uma, for inviting Professor D. Bharadwaj for this talk. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for inviting me and giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Siddharth. Thank you, sir, for this is my personal thanks to you. Like, I just give you a call and you readily accepted my invite. And again, I would say this was an eye-opener, a scintillating talk, and definitely I would ask my students to take more guidance from you, so they are going to trouble you more now. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you to all the participants. Thank you to my organizing team, Dr. Abbas, Dr. Siddharth, and others. So thank you, participants. We have participants, sir, as you know, from not only from India, but from other countries also. So we are reaching out to many participants, the scholars, research scholars. So bye-bye, everyone, and stay safe, stay healthy. And we would be posting again on the Telegram group about the further sessions, future sessions in this particular series. So, yeah.
And one thing more, Dr. Uma, students can follow Professor Bharadwaj on Facebook, and they will really learn from his comments.
Yeah. Sir is quite active on Facebook regarding these malpractices. He writes on that. I think so for the last 2 years, as sir mentioned. So as sir mentioned that his name is very unique. So if you just type or search for Professor Dwaipan Bharadwaj on Facebook, you would find his pages, and then you can read his comments in details. Thank you, sir, again, once again, from all of us. We have really benefited from your talk. Thank you, participants.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Stay healthy
Bye.
and safe.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
Have
Thank
a
you
good day,
much.
everyone. Yeah.
Okay. Bye.
Yeah. Bye. So the feedback link is provided. It should be active now. All of you can give your feedback. And I would share the feedback link on the Telegram channel also, in case if you are unable to access it from the chat here.